some studies that suggest, for example, that being without a close friend, being lonely, is as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's quite hard to measure friendships. What's the quality of that friendship? What's the quantity? When people say they have a certain number of friends.
I lied. I can. We're watching it.
Does that mean? Does it mean how many friends they have on Facebook? It is difficult to get at this quantitatively. And also people, I think, are a bit reluctant to admit sometimes to not having friends. Loneliness is in some ways quite a stigmatized condition.
Well, yeah, I think that there is like, oh, this person doesn't have friends. What's wrong with them? You know? Because I feel like everyone subconsciously judges that a little bit, right?
So actually getting people to admit to loneliness is something that social scientists really struggle with. I think a big question now is whether we're facing a friendship recession. That's a term that Daniel Cox, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, has used to describe this rise in the number of people who lack a certain number of close friends, who have fewer people to turn to in times of crisis. You need a shoulder to cry on, or at least someone to have a conversation with. That's less and less likely to be a friend now. And as society changes in all kinds of ways, technologically, economically, then I think it's important that we pay attention to what is very often an underappreciated human relationship, which is the friendship.
What's this? So much of the Big Think channel is cringe. There's so many parts of it that are so fucking cringe. Jesus. Sorry, I'm going to pull something up on chat really quickly. No flame. I'm not saying I can't. My point is that I put time and energy into my romantic relationship. I can't manifest friends while working 9 to 5, helping raise my son, and still finding time for my wife and I. That is a fair statement. It's just not what you said initially. What you said initially was, I've been in a relationship for 13 years. I don't have friends, but I wouldn't trade my wife and son for a dozen close friends. Those are different statements. I would argue that there are instances that you can have friends and still find time for your wife and your kid. You know, like, I have had many friendships where I've gone on double dates with friends, or not even double dates. Like, I want to have, I want me and my partner to go out. So we just invite some friends with us. We still get to get our quality time with each other, but now we get to get our quality time with each other and other people. And then we get to talk about it. It's so cool. It's the coolest thing about being in a very close, intimate relationship with someone, having a partner that is your best friend, is that everything is something that you guys get to talk about afterward, right? So you guys wanted to go to a theme park or something, right? You get to go to a theme park with your partner. Both of you get to have fun, and you guys get to bring friends with you, and then afterward you can talk about everything. Can you believe that Steve tried to eat the fucking cotton candy in one bite, and then he choked and puked? And it was so fucking funny. That shit was hilarious. I had to try my best to not laugh in that moment. Oh my God, I'm so glad we agree. You know, like, that's, I think, one of the funnest things that you can do in a relationship, you know? I think you can, unless you're, sorry, I'm trying to like think about the words that I want to use that I don't feel are like victim shaming, but you can attempt to commit time to doing that, right? If you look at your week and you have spare time to be playing Baldur's Gate, or you have spare time to be fucking playing Minecraft, I don't know. You have spare time in the day that isn't spent working or with anyone else. You can take 30 minutes of that and try and find a way to schedule time to hang out with your friends. It just takes a little bit of time, you know?
Friendships come in all shapes and sizes and are also formed in very different ways and in very different places. One way we form friends is just by being at the same school as somebody, by growing up in the same place. Another way is through the situations you find yourself in, through work. There are also friends that you form through activities that are chosen, so through a voluntary activity or a sport, athletics. The fourth is online friendships. Those are friendships that are formed through a screen or over the internet in one kind or another without necessarily ever physically meeting that person. Across human history, there's always been a tribal size, I think, to friendship groups, which is somewhere in the teens, say between 12 and 15, perhaps, is a reasonable number to think about. And then there are close friends. Some people, of course, have no close friends, but most people have at least a close friend. And most people would say that the ideal number of close friends to have is somewhere around the 3 or 4
Yeah.
number.
Yeah.
Friendship was something that...
I don't think I could do more than like 3 close friendships. I've tried. At one point, I was attempting to juggle 7 close friends. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is too difficult. This is too much work. I can't. No. I think 3 is a very good number. Like as a peak. I want to go back really quickly. I think you're taking what I said as I haven't tried to maintain friends, which is fair, but it's not the case. I've tried and friends have either stopped responding to me or constantly cancel. Sure. What I'm saying is that all I'm saying is that I was responding to your initial statement, and your initial statement didn't have additional context, right? Your initial statement was a either or, and I was responding to that one. If you put effort in, then yeah, that's great. When Denims was min-maxing friends. 3 friends is optimal because you have 4-person group for co-op games. Yes. I fucking totally agree. Oh my God. More than 3 or 4 might be doable if you're all in one friend group, so it's easier to keep up with everyone. Yes. I totally agree. I think we've romanticized relationships to be more valuable than friendships, and it's not the case. Trying to be someone's everything and expecting them to do the same is exhausting, and it's kind of unfair as an expectation. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
The ancient philosophers used to take very seriously, if you go back to Aristotle, for example, in some ways seen as the ideal relationship. And one of the reasons why friendship is, I think, so important and so idealized is because it's a relationship of genuine and radical equality, and one in which you're not in the friendship in order to get something out of it for yourself. There's no sense of dependency, there's no sense of exchange. It's not a transactional relationship in any way. And in most other occasions, relationships do contain some kind of transaction, some kind of what's in this for me.
And I have to say, it is genuinely the best feeling on the planet to have someone who wants to just hang out with you. They don't care about what you offer them. They don't care what you do. They literally just enjoy spending time with you and are saying, hey, I like to spend time with you. Do you want to come spend time with me? Like, not to be a simp, but I'm going to be a simp really quickly. This is a big reason why I love Sabrina so much. Friend of the channel, Abelina Sabrina. And it's because she is that person. Like, she is one of the few people who I feel like puts probably more effort in friendships than I do. I would say that she is, that I am friends with, obviously. Out of all the people that I'm friends with, I think she is maybe the only person that puts equal or more effort in. Like, and it makes me so happy. It's just like, I feel the need to reciprocate. You know, if you like her so much, why don't you just marry her? But yeah, she's great. She's great. Like, she planned this whole like weekend get together thing for us and a couple of our friends, and she had to do all the research herself. It probably took her hours to do that. You know? It's like, I really respect that you did that, you know? I really appreciate it. And so whenever we go out or we hang out or something, I feel such a compulsion to pay for everything when I'm hanging out with Sabrina. Like, I feel like she's such a good friend to me that this is the least I can do, you know? Like, no, you shouldn't have to pay this bill. Okay. Your company is enough. Okay. I guess I'm sorry. I'm sipping so hard. I am. She's just like a very good friend, you know? Okay. We'll get back to the video.
But the definition of a friendship is a relationship where there is nothing in it for you other than the relationship. We've seen a decline in lots of traditional institutions, including the family, people marrying later if they do marry, obviously in areas like religion, in some cases the labor market. And so what that means is there's more of a need for people to have social relationships, connections outside of those institutions. That's where friends are hugely important. But during the same period, we've seen a real decline in the number of people who say that they have a number of close friends. There are a number of factors that could be getting in the way of forming friendships, particularly in 21st century US. Number one is geographical mobility, people moving away from their homes, moving to big cities or career opportunities, which necessarily stretches their friendship network. Parents are spending quite a bit more time on parenting, on looking after their kids, which squeezes out the time that they might have had for friendships before. There's also a lot of emphasis on work and careers, what some scholars call workism, which is a sense that it's your identity.
You really have to make time. Like, the sad reality is that as an adult, especially as an adult with kids, you have to fucking find the time to maintain the friendship. It has to be an active effort. Like, planning, hanging out with friends or making new friends is work. But it's worth it, in my opinion. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? Going to the gym sucks. Working out sucks. Waiting for machines sucks. Like, getting really sweaty sucks. It's like, it's not fun. But you do it because you want to achieve something else, right? There are some freaks that enjoy going to the gym. We don't talk about those people. We don't talk to those people. But for most people, it's like, I go to the gym because I want to look a certain way, or I go to the gym because I want to have a certain level of cardio, or I go to the gym because this reason or that reason or whatever, right? For some other purpose. But it's always worth it to put that work in because there's a payout at the end, right? And it's the same, I think, sort of for friendships. Like, eventually you will put enough work into this thing that you will find a good friend. You know, like, I feel like even in like the past 2 years, I've met hundreds of people, and it took so much work on my end, like finding time to plan, finding time to hang out, trying to say yes to everything, you know, really trying to build a friendship or make new friends. And the end goal, or like the end result, is that I find friends that I love and care about, right? And I feel like it's the same. It's like you have to find the time to go to the gym. You have to find the time to make friends or improve your friendships or whatever. Me and my best friend of 10 years never hang out anymore since she had a kid, but we call each other every other day and share what's going on with her. I mean, I would definitely consider that a best friend. Like, even if hanging out with your friend is just calling them on the phone every other day, like that's sick, right? Because think about it. And this is why I've always liked phone calls. And I know people think this is sick, especially in the modern day and age. Oh, hi, Catholic Collector. Hi. Especially in the modern day and age, where people only like to text. Like, don't get me wrong. I hate making phone calls. I hate calling offices. I hate calling like businesses. It's like, yeah, I could call ahead and order this burger, but I don't want to call. No, I don't want to call. So like, I hate to call random strangers, and I hate when strangers are calling me, but I don't like texting people. I like to call my friends, right? And it's like, oh, I'm cleaning. I have nothing to entertain me while I'm cleaning. Wait, I could use this as an opportunity to hang out with my friend. Yeah, what have you been up to? Oh my God, have you played any Baldur's Gate? Dude, have you gotten to the point where they, you know, it's so satisfying. Leaving voicemails are the worst. I can never figure out how to end them. But I love you. Bye. Your dentist's office listens. What the?
Is so wrapped up in your work that you don't have as much energy and time left over for friends. And then lastly, I'd point to the breakdown of relationships.
I like Baldur's
as
Gate a
marriages
lot.
break up or couples separate, that can be really fracturing of friendship groups that have been formed as a couple. Once they break up, the friendship groups very often get shattered as well. There are a few downsides to being without friends. One is lack of access to opportunities. It turns out that many people get a lot of jobs and opportunities and chances to go and do things through their friends. So friends do act as a communications information channel. But there are some quite profound effects on health too, mental health and even physical health. It's not exactly clear what the causal relationships are, what's going on, but it is clear that having friends is protective of your health in various ways. And so it's not just that being without friends can make you isolated in a sort of economic or a social sense, but it can also make you sad. And being sad, it turns out, is also bad in terms of your physical as well as emotional health.
No way. Being sad is bad?
Today, 15% of young men say that they don't have a close friend. That was just 3% back in the 1990s.
This is fucked.
And so we're seeing a 5-fold increase in the number of men who have no close friends. Back in 1990, almost half of young men, 45%, said that if they had to turn to someone in a time of trouble, it would be to a close friend. But now that's dropped to about 22%. And in fact, there are more men, about 36%, who say that they would go to their parents. And so that's quite a radical transformation in the social networks that we've seen, particularly of young men. The pandemic has been a sort of stress test for our friendship networks. Interestingly, there we see that it's women who've been most affected, with more than half of women saying they've lost touch with at least some of their friends. I think that's because female friendships are more based on physical relationships, on face-to-face time, whereas male friendships tend to be more mediated perhaps through activities or technology. We don't know for sure, but that gender gap is suggestive of the fact that women's friendships are more in need of more regular physical contact than male friendships are, which is maybe why women's friendships have borne the brunt of the impact of COVID on those friendship networks. There's obviously a dystopian version of how these trends could continue, which is a world of essentially atomized individuals without friends, isolated, sad, lonely, perhaps in ill health. I think that's why we have to pay real attention to these trends and to recognize that friendship is incredibly important for human flourishing and that people want to make friends. We're wired to want to be social creatures and to be friends.
There's a reason that solitary confinement is cruel and unusual punishment, okay? Forcing someone to be devoid of all human contact is torture.
But that might be harder for us to do so in certain circumstances where we're under too much pressure, where we're too segregated, where the opportunities to cultivate friendship are not there. A key lesson that we learn is that friendships don't form...
Sorry, I have to look at this real quick. What type of friendship is this? And they were roommates. Me, when I go to the park to have a picnic with my friend, and we both close our eyes and hold hands as the sun sets, you know, as friends.
Key lesson that we learn...
Normal friend behavior.
is that friendships don't form themselves. Friendship is not a flower that just blooms all on its own. It's more like a woodworking project that you have to carve out and continue to work on. One of the necessary steps to making a friend is to admitting that you want to make a friend, to being open to that. That requires a certain vulnerability. It requires you in some ways to reveal a need, a desire. And I think as we get older, there's sometimes a sense of shame that comes along with not having enough friends. And actually saying I need a friend is maybe one of the hardest sentences that any human being can utter.
Serious question, why can't friends do that? No, I mean, you can do whatever you want with your friends. If you want to do like a prayer circle,
faster with
stop.
video.
If you want to, you know, close your eyes and with your friend at the picnic. That's fine, you know. I've just never done that ever. I've never seen that happen. I've ever. Anyways, that was a good video. Surprisingly, despite me not really being a fan of the guy who works in these videos, I actually think that was pretty decent. That was pretty good. Okay, chat. Now, I'm very excited. Okay? Very, very excited. I want to cover this next story. Okay? The big think has had some misses, which is, yeah. All right, guys. It's time. I don't know if this video will be good or not, so if it's trash, we might